Hi, Athens.
Great to have you back. I was so impressed. I have not attended any of the MID Water Board meetings. I have only heard stories written in infamy of how you address that board. But when I saw you working last week at the city council meeting, it was incredible. I mean, it was you accused them of accepting love letters and called the MID a rogue entity. I mean, it was, and you said the city council would have a clean kill. It was great. It was something out of the Wild West.
I think I was at my best or worst. I'm not sure.
It was great.
I bring a lot of passion to this whole dialogue. I admit I do. And we are really, in this community, coming very close, Athens, to devastating ourselves. We rely so heavily on our surface water. And our surface water is, for many reasons, becoming so scarce. Scarce for agriculture, and we've spoken a lot about that, but it's also very scarce for our urban needs. And this MID board is just a rogue entity. The fact that this water sale has gotten as far as it has, it just baffles me, because I really can't find public support for it out there. And I'm in restaurants and gentlemen walk up to me and, hey, good job on that water. you keep going. It's like, please come down to the MID board meetings and keep going with me. We have a band of us, and we're doing a good job, and we're surfacing a lot of issues and a lot of information. Reed Smith, who's been on here with me, has been an invaluable partner. Dave Thomas from the Stanislaus Taxpayers Association has been an invaluable partner. Director Larry Bird on the MID board himself. My opponent last year's campaign. Terrific partner in trying to stop this water sale. And there really is no reason it shouldn't be stopped, other than we have a board of directors at MID that apparently has made promises to somebody that's more important to them than promises they made to this community when they took their positions.
How far back does it go? I mean, is it just the last 6 months, or do you think this has roots of a year or two that this has been in the play?
This has been cooking. I know 3 or 4 years ago I was in a meeting down at the Great Valley Center before it was defunct, and with Alan Short and a few other community leaders, and my father Jim Duarte, and we're just talking about ideas for the community. It was a very loosely formed meeting and with no particular agenda. And Alan Short at that time said, this isn't for public consumption, but at some point we might need to sell some water to San Francisco to make the kinds of political allies that will help us get the things we need in our area. And not now, there's nothing specific now, but at some point that might come up, and I just wanted to let you guys know that. It's like, well, I think selling water is a bad idea to San Francisco, but there's no agenda item. Well, on my campaign trail last year, I spoke to, Wayne knows it, Wayne Zipser at Farm Bureau, the executive director, asked me about their endorsement policy, and was hoping to get the Farm Bureau endorsement for my campaign, and mentioned to him, I really want to get the board to make sure we don't have water sales to San Francisco. And at that time, he divulged to me that he'd been brought into secrecy by Alan Short, and kind of floated this idea to him individually, not to the Farm Bureau board, the executives at all, just to Wayne as the executive director locally. And Wayne said he'd heard it secretly also. And I said, well, I didn't hear anything secretly. It was just a vague plan. He goes, oh no, he thinks he's got three votes on the board already. Well, by the Brown Act, no executive director should believe he has any kind of majority on a board, because he's not allowed to coordinate the board into a certain kind of vote.
Absolutely.
So there's already illegal activity happening at that time. Well, I encouraged Wayne to take it to his executive committee or take it to his board of directors and to not own that information, and gave him a little bit of time to do that before I came out with it. And Alan Short, subsequent to having met with Wayne, went out to dinner with MID board director, Tom Van Groningen, and a couple of TID people, including one of their directors and I think their general manager, and actually represented to them that they had already spoken to Modesto, to Stanislaus County Farm Bureau about the water sale, and Farm Bureau didn't express any problems with it. Well, it was a complete lie. They hadn't spoken to Farm Bureau. They'd spoken in confidence to the executive director and not allowed him to take it before the Farm Bureau board. So this water sale has been cooking for some time. It was never the plan of Modesto Irrigation District to have a full public debate about it. We've never had a discussion in this community about what water we might have to sell And if and when we have some water to sell, who would be our priorities to sell it to? Would it be other local farmers? Would we try and do a more elaborate groundwater banking system to take some relief off our urban wells? An angle of this that hasn't been talked about enough is our urban water needs here in the local community, and how we're overtaxing the Modesto municipal water wells. We've lost 13 wells in the last 7 years, 3 more last year. The main pollutants in our area are arsenic, uranium, and nitrates. And there is no short-term answer to fixing this. The more we draft out of our urban wells, the more concentrated these get. And the deeper we go to groundwater to pull. And the deeper we go, the more contaminants usually there are. You change contaminants. Nitrates are up top, and uranium's down low, and arsenic's down low. So the more we overdraft these wells, the deeper it gets. Modesto Irrigation District and MID formulate what's called an urban water management plan. The State Department of Water Resources requires that they file it every 4 or 5 years. Well, they did one. They filed it last May. And the Modesto Urban Water Management Plan, filed by City of Modesto and MID last May, models in no water sale or water transfer out of the district whatsoever. So we know for a fact, last May, MID was contemplating at its board level and its general manager a water transfer out of this community. Yet, it still worked in unison with the City of Modesto to file an urban water management plan that goes out to 2035 that models in no transfer whatsoever. They also did nothing to model in a minimum 24,000 acre-foot loss to the FERC process into our urban water management plan. So MID basically perpetrated a fraud on the City of Modesto. Now, you mentioned a few minutes ago, and I should clarify this. I addressed the City of Modesto, the Modesto City Council, with some passion the other night. But I did say at the beginning of my introduction, of my little spiel to them, I'm not coming as an enemy or as an adversary of them. That they are the victims of MID's behavior. And I believe right now we've got, I know in the meeting, Joe Moratori said we could probably count to 4 on the council to see them do everything they could do to stop the water sale. And as of today, I understand there's 5. Our mayor, Garrett Marsh, doesn't think this is an important enough issue. And he thinks 2,200 acre feet's a drop in the bucket. And he apparently doesn't believe, Mayor Marsh doesn't believe that reading the actual agreement posted on MID's website is important. Because if he read it, he would know what a dire threat this is to his community.
At the city council meeting, and I have to clarify, I said something about writing love letters. I think that was in reference to MID to Senator Dianne Feinstein.
Oh, yeah.
So I just wanted to correct that,
yeah.
Clarify that.
Alan Short's all but promised Senator Feinstein that this water sale will go through.
I noticed at the MID meeting, at the city council meeting, that there were 2 attorneys that got up, and one
Yes.
actually held up a contract.
Yes.
What people may not realize, and please clarify this for me, it seems like most utility companies are a company, but a irrigation district, Modesto or Turlock Irrigation District, is different in that they have ratepayers, and we as the ratepayers can say, we have a say in what they do.
Yes, we do. And we elect a board that we expect to represent our political interests and our political positions. And the board isn't. The board is not taking input. We have the Farm Bureau. It came out unanimously against this water sale. On Tuesday night, my group presented to the Farm Bureau after the City Council. The Farm Bureau came out unanimously against this water sale and is looking at all options to stop it. Nick Blom sits on that Farm Bureau board. He wasn't even at the meeting. He was endorsed by Farm Bureau. He's a local farmer. And he is yet to take a position on this water sale. Up until a week ago, Nick's cover was, hold on, I just need to see the agreement. Until there's an agreement, we can't decide anything. I want to see what the agreement says. Well, things the agreement could have said was it was a 5-year agreement that could be renewed in every 5 years, so that if we made a mistake, we could step out of it before it became devastating to our groundwater and our public health and our environment here locally. Well, the agreement that's published on Modesto Irrigation District's website right now, the draft agreement, that anyone can download. Flip past the first 5 pages. Those are MID propaganda. Go to the actual agreement and read it. There is no unilateral exit from Modesto Irrigation District whatsoever. Once we enter that agreement, it's gone, baby, gone. 50 years, which is forever. We all know it means forever. Gone. The other major concern any responsible director would have, if they even considered this sale, would be, what about in a drought? What about in a 5 or a 10-year drought? Global warming, if you're into that belief system, whatever it is. Climate change. What if we have a historic drought in the future? And we're likely to. At some point in 50 years, we're going to have an epic drought. And there is, under the force majeure portion of the agreement, where it says, okay, if there's a force majeure, a major event that we didn't expect, there might be some renegotiating of the agreement. The force majeure section of the agreement with San Francisco literally, explicitly excludes drought. And it literally excludes hydrology. It expressly excludes drought and hydrology as force majeure. So once we're in the agreement with San Francisco, even if the arsenic in our groundwater goes up by a factor of 10, even if we have an epic 10-year drought, we simply can't afford to give up this water. Our board of directors at MID has already given it away. And that's a 50-year deal, that's a 100-year deal. Our children will suffer the results of this agreement. Our children will have lower quality drinking water. Modesto's been in a first stage drought emergency for 4 or 5 years now. Can't wash your car and leave the hose running, which you shouldn't do anyways, but you got to water on it, odd days, your gardens. You got meters now. You never used to have meters. You pay for your water by volume. Probably not the worst thing. If this agreement goes through and you stack it on top of the increased demand with the new water treatment facility, which is 35,000 acre-feet a year, that's 60,000 acre-feet between the sale agreement and the water treatment plant. The district has told us that FERC, the Federal Energy Resources Commission, relicensing of our Don Pedro Reservoir that we share with Turlock Irrigation District, that's going to cost us, out of our allotment from the Tuolumne River watershed, 24,000 additional feet. So when those 3 events take place, we are already transitioning this community to a stage 2 drought. There's really no happy math we can do.
And what happens if we don't have any water? Are we going to have to buy it back from someone?
Well, really, there's not. OID's got some water, but they've been selling it to the city, so we're probably not going to get their water. Our agreement with San Francisco says that San Francisco now has a first right of refusal on any additional water we go to sell. So I would imagine, since the MID attorney, Tim O'Laughlin, is the same as this Oakdale Irrigation District attorney, Tim O'Laughlin, that their agreement with San Francisco probably gives them a first right of refusal.
So he represents 2 irrigation districts?
So there's nothing to say that we're going to be able to buy any irrigation water from any of the local districts that would actually have plumbing to get it to us. Then we have to go to our groundwater. If our groundwater is contaminated, which we know it is, we need the surface water to dilute and take pressure off our groundwater system. If our groundwater system is already poisonous, we then go to reverse osmosis at the wellhead of our wells in the city. Very expensive. Very, very expensive technology to pull the arsenic out. If we do that for our municipal water needs, we're talking thousands of dollars an acre foot for water, not 700, which we're selling it to San Francisco for. That's virtually predictable. If you look at the Urban Water Management Plan, again, the one that was filed last May with MID and Modesto together, and the supporting document, which is the transfer and delivery agreement, that's an appendix to the Urban Water Management Plan, which expressly states that MID agrees not to sell any of its surface water outside the district boundaries that would threaten its ability to service Modesto or the city of Modesto or agricultural use. That's what our lawyer, Jerry Brunn, our general counsel to my family and Duarte Nursery, was presenting. MID is literally violating that agreement. They've agreed not to do this, and they're violating it by selling this water to San Francisco.
You know, you just mentioned your nursery. You have, I don't know how many acres of fruit trees, and you have your nursery. And so hearing you talk, it's not just a passionate individual in the community. You have this in your blood. You have been involved in this for many years. So you know your stuff.
We're in agriculture. We're deep in agriculture. The nursery is out there actually in Turlock Irrigation District on the TID main canal right there on Hatch Road. My great-grandfather bought that ranch. in 1912, and we've been there ever since as a family. They dug those canals with mules and cables. Those canals predate diesel technology. They predate modern plant genetics. They predate synthetic fertilizers. The people who had the vision for this irrigation system and made the initial sacrifices had such incredible vision for what this area could become. I mean, we're living in a desert. You wouldn't drive to work and ever acknowledge it, but we're living in a desert. If you ever take the drive between LA and Las Vegas, it's a desert. That's what we're living in its native state. It is only the oasis we've made it. We only have the agricultural community we have, as well as the urban areas we have, because of this irrigation water. If you take this irrigation water out of the district and you put us solely reliant upon our groundwater here, we will deplete it and exhaust it and concentrate it to where it is poisonous within 3 to 4 years. It's totally, the irrigation district and the surface water resources completely sustain us here in Modesto.
What do we do? It seems like the wheels are already...
They're grinding fast.
Grinding, yes.
We want to slow this thing down. Bad deals die slow. They happen fast and they die slowly. And we need to slow this thing down. This district board is cut for tomorrow's public meeting, which is at the Modesto Irrigation District office on 11th Street between K and L. They've cut the public input session for this part of it down to 3 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, it's
I
usually
thought it
5
used to be
minutes.
5.
Yeah, they've cut it down to 3. They're trying to push this thing through. But in the meeting tomorrow, we'll be discussing the water report, where they will tell us how much water's in the dam. Remember, this year, they cut our allotment in agriculture from 42 inches to 36 in the first year of a drought. No water sale, no treatment phase 2, no FERC. And we were already cut from 42 inches down to 30 inches, 36 inches this year. If those 3 things would have taken place, and all of them are likely to take place within the next 5 years, we would be at 14 inches this year in the first year of a drought as agriculture users. That means every farm in the district, once we've exhausted our groundwater resources, which will happen fast without surface water recharging them, once we've exhausted the groundwater resources, we will fallow an acre for every acre we farm.
Well, that's another question that I wanted to ask you. Specifically, how long, like you have almond trees, right? How long will those almond trees live before they wither without enough water?
Weeks.
Just weeks.
We're a desert climate. It's 100 degrees outside in the summer. We have sandy soils. We saw it on the west side a couple years ago where the farmers out there were cut off water from the delta. Those trees died in 1 year. Almonds, peaches, cherries, grapevines, they will die without irrigation. Pistachios will struggle along a bit. Walnuts will die. I mean, just flat die. Ash trees along Magnolia, in the college area, in Lincoln Estates. You go to stage 3 water rationing where you're only allowed to water your outdoor landscaping with a hose by hand in the summer, in this town, in these soils, in this climate. You won't be Tree Town, USA. You won't be Food Town, USA. We'll have army showers. We'll be Smelly Town, USA, because we won't have water to put through our tap in the house. So people need to come down to the Modesto Irrigation District Board meeting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Be prepared to support a local diner and have lunch down there. Be prepared to bootleg into restrooms in the area. But speak on each of the issues brought before you. Speak on the water report. Speak on the public comment. Speak on the water sale. Speak on the rate increase that MID is putting through for its farmers. Tell them it's not enough, that farmers need to pay for their own infrastructure improvements. We can. We should. Speak on all 3 of those issues for 3 minutes. Tell them what your cat thinks about it. Slow this thing down. Make them adjourn the meeting tomorrow and delay consideration in the end of public input for another 10 days. That forces the whole process back. If any entities want to file suit, individuals, Farm Bureau, the city, the county, other interest groups locally. I know the Tuolumne River Trust is already looking at it. They've put San Francisco on notice. They'll be filing suit.
Where can people find you? Because we're just about out of time.
StopMIDinsanity.com.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Athens.
We'll see you tomorrow morning.
See.
Thank you. And I'm Athens Abell, and I think we're just about out of time. I think we have 10 seconds left. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. Be sure to look John Duarte up on Facebook as well, because I know you can find him there. Thank you and good night.
Bye.